In the image that I have shared, the illustration, the bottom part of the yoke is not straight. It has a certain kind of curve. Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Sujata Datta here, fashion designer and boutique specialist. So today in this video we are going to do something really interesting, and that is how to modify the darts. Okay, so we will be modifying the dart for this kind of yoke as you see here in the picture, and I have used the yoke format that I teach in my Anarkali course. So that is the base format that I have used, and then I have moved on to do the modification. So now let's quickly see that. So let's see the modification now. This is the yoke pattern that I have made using the tutorial which is there in the yoke chapter. It is exactly the same process that I have followed. Only difference is in this the measurements are different. The measurements are the ones that I have already shared with you. It is my body measurements. Okay, so that is what is the difference. Now in the image that I have shared, the illustration, you have seen that the bottom part of the yoke is not straight, right? It has a certain kind of curve. Okay, the top point of the curve. So this is, I'll be taking it at a depth of 12.5 inch. So I'm making a mark at 12.5 inch, right? And below the bust, so I'm taking again midway. Yeah, so this is the point that I am marking on the dart line. Okay, on the dart line I'm making this point. Now what I am going to do, I am going to join this with the curve like you saw, you see it in the illustration. I am using the hip curve for this. I won't be using this sharp curved part. Instead I am using this not that sharp part. Okay, the reason being because I will be adding a lace also. So to rotate the lace it becomes difficult. Let me first mark it with the pen so that if I need to do corrections I will have the option to do corrections. So whenever you are making curves you have to rotate the if it is hip curve you are using, or if it is the French curve, you will have to rotate it. Yeah, so I'm happy with this curve that I got. I will make a fair one here. Okay, so this is the curve. So this is where I will be cutting. Now remember, I won't be cutting here. I will be adding the seam allowance. Obviously half an inch seam allowance is what we will be adding. But another thing that I see here, that you see here, is that this dart, right? Now I don't want this dart. This is my front part. Exactly same way as you have seen in the tutorial, I will use this only to make my pattern for the back one. I'm not doing that right now because it has already been covered in the tutorial. But what I want to do for this front part is, I want to move this dart, I want to close this dart and move this dart to the armhole. Okay, as you can see in the illustration, I have drawn this dart and this dart. I don't want this dart because this is way too short. I want this part to be clean. I want only these two darts, right? So for that I will just cut the paper here. I will cut this as per I will add the seam allowance. You have already seen how I add seam allowance. Half an inch seam allowance here. I will be adding a margin of 1 inch total, which includes half inch seam allowance, half inch seam allowance here, half inch seam allowance here, and 1/4 seam allowance here. That is what I will be doing, and then I will come back to you and show you how I am going to move this dart. Now let's start the process of manipulating this dart. So this is the center waist dart that you see. This is what I don't want. I want it to be very smooth. near the waist. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting one of the dart legs. Okay, so I'm just cutting this left side of the dart leg, and I have cut it till the tip. And here this I had taken 1 inch above the bust line, remember. So this was the bust line, this is 1 inch above. I can take the dart from there, and or if I want, if you want, you can take it higher also. I prefer taking it from here because then it gets almost practically hidden. So now what I will be doing is I will draw a line from this point towards the bust point, because all the darts that we make, they are all directed towards this bust point. Okay, so I'll first just make a line. I'll make a dotted line from this point to the bust line. The dart will not be so long, but it will give the direction of the dart, and that is the purpose of making this dashed line. I'm just making a temporary dashed line, and then I will make a cut along this line. So the cut that I am taking right now is around 3.5 inch. If required, I'll increase it later on. If while rotating, if I feel that I need to increase, I can increase. Right now I have taken around 3.5 inches, and I'm cutting along that line. Okay, now next what I am going to do next is the process of actually manipulating this dart. The waist dart that I have, I'll close this dart. Okay, so how do I close it? I move the dart, the cut and that dart leg on top of the other dart leg. So this dart has now got closed. Now you see, because I closed, there is so much of puckering in the center, right? The fabric is not flat in the center. So that is why what I am doing is, first of all, I am closing this dart with the help of a sellotape. You can use scotch tape or whatever you are comfortable with. Now I am going to, because of this puckering that you see here near the tip, I am going to cut this dart a little bit further. Okay, somewhere around 4.25 inches is what I am going to cut. So once I cut that, it will be a little bit more easy for me to spread it. Okay, now when I put the fabric flat, see, it has become absolutely flat near the bust, and I have got a dart near the armhole. So the dart that was in the waist has got transferred in the armhole, okay, or the arm side. So that is my new dart. I want that dart. I don't want any dart near the waist. For that, now what will I do? I'll take a piece of paper, take a bigger piece of paper, and then I will again use sellotape and tape it down. So I will get my new dart. So this is what I am doing right now. I am taking a bigger piece of paper. This is the reason why I don't throw even a single scrap of paper, because we need a lot of paper while doing drafting and pattern making. Now that I have laid it here flat, I'm just going to use a sellotape or scotch tape, whatever you want you can use, and you can join it. So here I am joining it. So this is my new dart. This is the armhole dart. It is a little bit longer, but you will see later, I will show you that after stitching it's looking perfect. It doesn't it's not showing up as being long or anything like that. So this is I will finally align near the waist also. Here you see it's a little bit up and down. That's because I've closed the dart. I will align it and I will make it absolutely smooth curve. So that is what is going to happen. Okay, now let's do the cutting. In this, I have taken this fabric. It is a dyeable fabric that I am using. As I have always mentioned, lay the fabric flat. If required, you use iron it and use it. And this is the selvage, right? So the pattern will be parallel to the selvage. The pattern that I will be keeping, it will always be parallel to the selvage. That is what gives the best fit and the right fall to the garment. Now you can see here I folded the fabric with right side inside, and I'll place the pattern. Now this is the fold line. This is the center line of the yoke, if you remember. Okay, so this is actually my fold line. So this fold line means what? Means this side of the pattern will go on the fabric, which on the side of the fabric which is actually folded. Okay, so now this is aligning on the part of the fabric which is folded. It is falling a little bit short, so I'm taking it a little bit more. I am increasing the width of the fabric, and remember that you can iron it nicely, and the fabric shouldn't be stuck anywhere in between. If it is stuck or something, it's not absolutely flat, then the cutting will not be perfect. So here I am aligning the fold line of the pattern with the folded part of the fabric, and I am using the paper weights to hold the paper in place, the pattern paper. Now some people do the cutting with the paper pattern on top. Okay, I find it a little bit difficult. I have always found it a little bit difficult because when the paper moves, I don't feel comfortable, and the nature of paper and fabric is different, so they don't go along properly. So what I generally do is I use a gel pen or a normal ballpoint pens that don't leak. I use those kind of pens and mark the outline. After marking the outline, I actually pin the fabrics together so that they also don't move. I remove the pattern making paper or the pattern actually, and then I just cut along the lines that I have drawn. So that is generally what I do. I know it is a little bit longer process, but I prefer doing that as it gives me more mental satisfaction. So here you can see I am drawing the lines on all sides. I will do that for all sides, that is along the waist, along the sides, along the arm side, along the shoulder. I have already added all the seam allowances that are required along the neck, and then finally I am going to cut this out. Now that finally the cutting is done, I will show you a glimpse of how it looked in while I did the yoke. So this is how it looked after doing the darts and all, and this is the final dress which is ready. If you have my entire course package, then you will get a detailed tutorial of how to stitch this in the Anarkali course. If not, then you can get this Anarkali tutorial, a detailed tutorial which includes what measurement, how you take the measurements, cutting, stitching, everything in detail. Just this Anarkali tutorial at a 50% discount. Use code 50 and click on the link below, and you can get lifetime access to this course. Okay, so that is how we do the modification. I also showed how to cut it on the fabric, and then you saw the final product. I hope you liked this video. I hope you got good amount of learning as well. If you liked the video, please do click on the like button, subscribe to my channel, and we will meet again in the next video. See you. Bye bye.